Welcome. It's supposed to be a peace sign. I know it's probably not that good in Europe, I heard. Yes, welcome. We'll be getting started really soon. Hello. We're going to be talking about Korean negative verbs today. So we'll just wait for a few more people to come in. I started a few minutes early as usual. Originally, this stream will start at 2 o'clock today, so a little bit early. Let's see. All right, we already got some people here. Hello. All right. Love the hat. Oh yeah, that's right. Today's a little different hat. I got this one today. I actually have 3 hats, and originally I only had 1 hat, but then I started worrying, like, what if I lose my only 1 hat? And then that's the only hat that's in my videos. So I diversified my stock. So I got 3 hats, and they're all a little bit different, but each of them, so I wear them in different videos. So that way, if worst scenario is someday I lose one of them, it won't really matter, because you guys will recognize me from different hats. 안녕하지 않아요. Okay. Yes, that's one thing we're going to be learning today is the Billy, well, we need a paper and pencil for notes. I always recommend taking notes, because these classes are quite long. Today's will go exactly under 2 hours, because at 4 o'clock, when the stream ends, it's supposed to end anyway, I've always gone over the limit a little bit, but today will actually be by 4, because I have to leave to go to my mom's house. She's going to be celebrating, I think it's like 25 years since she bought her house, since we moved to our current place where we are. Well, since I'm not there anymore, but since she moved there, when we moved there with our family, when I was about 7 years old, we moved here. And so it's been over 25 years. So we're going to go there and celebrate it. We're going to have a potluck. So I'm going to bring some guacamole and some chips. I'm just going to buy the chips from Chipotle, I think. But the guacamole I'm going to make. So we're going to do that tonight. Diversification of the hat portfolio. That's right. And I'm actually looking for another hat as well. So if anyone finds any interesting looking hats, feel free to let me know. Do you post these? Yes, all of them are posted on my channel. You can see past live streams completely for free. If you go to my channel, there's like a playlists, and you'll see live streams in there. It has every live stream I've ever done. And yeah, currently we're in season 1 of these live classes. Sombrero. Pangapde. Just for Brendan, make sure you use 존댓말, so polite Korean when meeting people for the first time. I don't mind, because I'm a teacher, so I understand why people misuse it like that. But when you meet someone new for the first time, you want to always make sure you're speaking very politely. If you're meeting someone who's like a little kid, you can speak casually. And I did a live stream about this as well. But when you're meeting someone similar age as you or slightly younger, and any situation, doesn't matter if it's casual situation or not, you should always make sure that you're saying things like 저는 instead of 나는, and 해요 instead of 해. Make sure you're using the polite forms of Korean, because I don't get offended, because I understand, but Korean people and other people learning Korean who know that they'd be offended, but they wouldn't tell you anything. They wouldn't say anything about it. They would just like, I don't like that, but I don't want to be rude and say that it's rude. Kind of like that. It's just something to be aware of. CD Erungs, yes. Yeah, it was your request originally for negative verbs, and people really liked it. So yeah, that's why it won again. Just got here. What did I miss? You missed nothing. We haven't started yet. I always turn on these live streams a few minutes early just to get the lights set up. I have a couple lights. I have one over here. They're small, and then one right here, so I can make it brighter or dimmer. And hopefully today we'll have better stream quality, because last time we had terrible stream quality, and I don't know why. It was like barely readable at some points, and like most of the stream was kind of okay, but some parts of the stream were like really pixelated, and yeah, it wasn't that good. So I'm not sure the reason why. I think my internet's really good here, and I checked my usage. I made sure that there wasn't anything else running in my house that was using the internet, and there wasn't. But just to be sure, this time I told my Wi-Fi router to only give internet to my phone for right now. So hopefully that will give us better quality for all of today's stream, and hopefully it won't crash anymore. Like YouTube app always crashes when I'm streaming. I'm hoping that it's just an internet issue, and that this will fix it. And I have a question for you guys that I want to know. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can do something here. Does this let me? Let's see. Oh, can I add a card? Wow, I can add a card. I can do a vote. I can do a poll. Okay, let's see. I want to ask you guys what you guys think I should do. Should I get a haircut? This poll's not going to work very well. Okay, never mind. I'll just ask you guys here. I'm going to get a haircut soon. So this is my hair right now, and it's not that bad. But the problem is my hair kind of grows into like a mushroom on the sides. It just gets too big on the sides. So I get it cut once every like 4 or 5 months, and it's been a while since I got it cut. Last time I got it cut was in the beginning of June. So June, July, August, September. It's been over 4 months since I've got my hair cut. So should I cut it? Should I keep it like long like this and just kind of clean up the sides, clean it up so it's not so messy? Or should I get it cut short again? So if you've seen my other videos, sometimes I have shorter hair and sometimes I have longer hair like this. What do you guys prefer? What do you think would look better? Mushroom cut. I'm balding, don't complain about your hair. No, it's getting too big. I mean, of course, having lots of hair is better than being completely bald. I don't think I'm going to go bald. I have lighter hair around the top, but that's kind of been that way since I was a teenager, so I'm not really worried about that. But no, like I have hair, but it just grows into a mushroom. It's not very pleasing. Well, the way it is right now is acceptable, but it's getting in my eyes, so I have to cut it a little bit at least. But I'm wondering if I should cut it a little bit or if I should cut it a lot. If I should make it short or if I should keep it long. You have the hair of a K-pop idol? I wish. You're going for that Korean hairstyle? Yeah, I'll just get I'll get a bowl cut. I'll just straight up get a bowl cut and then learn how to dance. And I'll get a surgery to make my chin really sharp and my nose smaller. I think that's what I got to do if I want to be a K-pop celebrity. That's what all the that's something that I heard that surprised me was that I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently in Korea among celebrities, it's so common to get plastic surgery. Like it's more common than I know you probably heard that it's really common, but in fact, it's so common that if you don't get plastic surgery, people will know that you don't have plastic surgery. Like they'll say, oh, and I heard that guy didn't get plastic surgery. Like, wow, it really is like, it's just his natural face. Like, whereas in the US or other places, we might think, oh, that person they had plastic surgery. In Korea, it's the opposite. They think, oh, wow, that person didn't get plastic surgery. Like it's assumed that everyone got plastic surgery unless known otherwise. So just something to think about. I'm not saying it's bad, just most people do it. Like pretty much everybody does it, except for a few people. You have double eyelids. Yes, I have double eyelids, but I did not get surgery for them. That's just my natural double eyelids being an American. Yeah, it's really like that. Yeah, surgery is so common that if someone doesn't get surgery, it's known. Like, I think the singer Rain, P. Am I remembering incorrectly? I think it's Rain. There's a few people like he didn't get surgery, so a lot of people know that. Oh, he didn't get surgery. And there might be some singers in certain bands, but typically it's everyone, when they become a celebrity, everyone gets some sort of surgery. And you can find websites where you search like before and after K-pop, and you can find like K-pop idols, what they looked like before and then what they look like after their surgery. Usually it'll be like their high school photo because they might not want to publish their before surgery photos, but you can still kind of find like, oh, wow, they changed a lot, or, oh, they didn't change, they look the same. You can kind of see that. Yeah, 일반인, regular people, like regular Koreans, aren't going to get surgery so commonly. As it's common, it's much more common than the US, but it's not like every Korean gets plastic surgery. I'm only talking about celebrities. So if you're a Korean celebrity, like 99% you've got plastic surgery. If you're a regular Korean, no, it's much lower than that. Something though that's really common is getting the double eyelid surgery. That's really common. Like, I don't think Koreans really consider that as a major procedure. It's kind of like an American getting their ears pierced, like that kind of level of surgery. But anything beyond that is not so common. Like, it's not likely that any of your Korean friends have gotten sort of plastic surgery, but you can ask them. But as a celebrity, it's just really common. Yeah, high school photos. So it can be hard to tell, especially if they're much older than that. Utah had jaw surgery. Yeah, this is, the hat says 착한. Okay, so we're going to get started today. So now that it's well, let me just pull out the chat here so I can see the chat. Okay. You know, what my hat says is actually 착한 남자. And it's kind of a play on words. It's kind of a joke. What it actually is just, it's a funny way of spelling. You remember we did sound change rules just last week. So if you have a consonant before this letter, the hiat, before the H sound, or after, this sound, okay, well, first of all, the hiat goes away. And then this sound, whether it's before or after, becomes a strong version of itself. So the kiuk, this regular letter, becomes a strong version. So it becomes like this. So you can just rewrite it like up here. So that's how it gets this sound. So it's 착한, which means nice. The verb to be nice, well, or friendly, you know, is 착하다. It's this, 착하다, which becomes 착하다 when read using sound change rules. So you get a nice guy is 착한, which becomes 착한. So they just wrote it 착한 to be kind of funny. So it's like nice, it just says nice guy on the hat. I saw this hat, I thought, yeah, that's a good hat. I'll get that. I like it. My beautiful friend left the K-pop. She would have been forced to have surgery. Interesting. It'd be curious what kind of surgery, because the type of surgery they do for each person would be different, depending what features they want to emphasize on the person. There might have been something else too. Like, the K-pop industry isn't so simple that you would stop because of surgery. I think Koreans would be like usually okay with getting some sort of surgery, but it's really difficult besides just that. Like, I know some people who are doing, I shouldn't say that. I've heard some stories of people who are doing K-pop or getting into K-pop or the media industry and told about how some of the stuff works, and, you know, like, you have to give up, you can't date anyone, you can't have your own cell phones, you know, you have to live together with the other group members, and they control your life really, really strictly. So it's not just about plastic surgery, it would be a lot of other things too. So I had a friend who was going to be scouted to be I believe it was a model in Korea, and he turned him down because of that reason. And he found out, like, he didn't want his private life to be controlled and everything exposed, and to be, you know, have to give up all of the regular things he was doing. So he turned it down. But, you know, that's just kind of how the Korean industry works. That's how I think probably a lot of K-pop, a lot of music industries in general work. Probably the same way in Japan too. Take what happened with Hyuna? Oh, I don't know about her. I just know the name. Would you become a Korean idol? No, I would not become a Korean idol, and you would not want to watch me as a Korean idol. So, first things first, welcome to today's stream. Funny thing, I started early, but now we're starting the actual lesson late. First thing is, there is a Discord It's a very active chat room. Now, I think the last time I checked, it was almost like 600 members, and we're growing every time, like another 100 or 200 people per week. If one of my moderators could please, oh yes, you're really fast. Both of you guys, you're really fast. Yes, check out the Discord. I see some of you have already discovered that we have a new, you've discovered that we have a new emoticon. It's the Billy dabbing emoticon. It's me dabbing. So there's a new emote that you can play with in the chat as well for members. So yeah, check out the Discord. It's a really active chat room. You can practice your Korean, chat with other people who are learning Korean, get advice, and 24/7 you can share your media for whatever you're using for studying. You could just chat about Korea, K-pop, or whatever you want. And it's really active, and there's a lot of nice people in there. And there's some administrators there, so you don't have to worry about like trolls or mean people in there. Everyone's pretty nice. So go check that out. It's also completely free. It's, yes, just for learning Korean. Oh, and the other thing is, normally I do the streams on Sunday at 2 p.m. So this is right now, the time here is 2:07. Next week, next live stream, next Sunday will be 2 hours earlier, just for next week, only for next week. So next Sunday, instead of starting at 2 p.m., next Sunday's live stream, and I'll post this in the channel also, next Sunday's live stream will start by 12 and it will go until 2 p.m. So if you come here next week at 2 p.m. looking for the live stream, it's already finished, but you can still watch it after the fact. But yeah, next week's will be 12. The reason is next week is actually my son's 3rd birthday. So we're going to have his birthday party in the evening that day. So I want to make sure I have enough time to get ready. I was thinking of canceling it, but I thought that's not really necessary. I can still do it, but I'll just have to do it a little bit earlier so that I have enough time. Because I think his will start at birthday party will start at 5. So I want to have plenty of time to get ready to buy some, food for our family members who are going to come. So yeah, next Sunday's live stream will be from 12 to 2. And I'll post this in the community tab as well, in case you forget, or for anyone here anyone who's not here. Let's see here. Yeah, as Zilly said, if you have any Korean questions that aren't related to today's lesson, then feel free to ask them in the Discord chat. Because if you ask them here and they're not related to today's lesson, I'm not going to cover them because there wouldn't be enough time for everyone else. But you can ask those questions anytime you want in the Discord, in the Korean Learners Discord chat, and there will be someone who can help you with them there. Can I be your wife? No, thanks. Okay, so the prerequisites for today's lesson is you need to know how to conjugate the yo form or some sort of Korean ending. So that could be yo, neyo, jiyo, 입니다, 합니다. Any one of those forms, you have to already know how to conjugate Korean verbs, or else you're not going to know how to then make those verbs negative and conjugate them. It's just going to be, you're skipping a step. So make sure first you know how to conjugate the regular yo form before you continue with this lesson. And if you don't know how to do that, I already have a lesson on my channel in my Learn Korean series about how to do that. And maybe I'll even do a live stream about that in the future too. So also today's lesson will have no quiz at the end. Instead, the quiz will be throughout the lesson. So negative verbs. In English, there really isn't any negative verbs in English. All you have to do if you want to make a verb negative is you attach the word don't or doesn't before the verb. So if you want to say I go to the store, now you want to make it a negative sentence, you would just say I don't go to the store, or he doesn't go to the store, right? That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else to make a verb negative. Just do not go. I don't go. If you want to say is or is not, well, then you just do like that. Is not. So, or isn't, right? To make a verb, the verb to be negative. So he is, she is, or he is not. He isn't. or they are not, right? There's nothing fancy about changing these in English. You just use not, do not, or is not. So do not or is not, depending on whether you're talking about an adjective or a verb in English. In Korean, though, it's a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. So it actually has to be a lesson about how to turn verbs into negative verbs. The nice thing, though, is that this is still a beginning level concept. So you don't have to learn a lot of stuff to know how to make negative verbs. As long as you can just conjugate the yo form by itself, you'll be fine for today's lesson. Let's just check the chat for a moment. Billy is married already. Stop proposing marriage to people. I'll take it as compliment. Hajima. That's not the form we're doing. That is the command form for do not do something. That is when you tell someone do not do something. But that's not what we're covering today. We're covering regular negative verbs, not command forms today. That would be the opposite of saying please do something. You'd say do not do something. So in Korean, there are two ways to make a verb negative. First of all, to do one of them, the first one we're going to cover is the most simple one. Oops. I'll just put it down here. So first, to do that, you take the verb stem of a verb. So let's just take kada, to go. And to get the verb stem of any verb, excuse me, you first remove the ta at the end. And that's all you have to do. So now you have the verb stem. Then you attach ji, anta. So you take a verb stem and you attach ji, anta to the end. So to make the verb kada negative, you have ka and then ji, anta. Now you have the verb to not go. And then from here you can conjugate this. For example, if you conjugate this to the yo form, I apologize for coughing. I had a cold over a week ago that got all better, and my throat's now better, but I still am coughing a little bit. But I'm okay though, otherwise. So then you can conjugate it to the yo form just by adding anayo. So now you have 가지 않아요. I don't go, or he doesn't go, or we don't go, or they don't go, or she doesn't go, anything like that. You don't go. And all you had to do was attach ji, anta to the end of a verb stem and conjugate it. So it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. But the nice thing about this form is if you've never learned how to do negative conjugation before, so you never learned how to do any negative verbs, you just knew, regular verbs, how to say like I go or I eat. If you've never learned any negative before, all you have to do is learn this form and you'll be safe every time. So if you want to say something in Korean that's negative, you don't need any special forms, any other special rules. You're safe using this form every single time exactly like this without any exceptions or any special weird rules. For the most part. Yeah, I'd say for the most part, you're safe using this. So this is the best one to learn first because it's the most simple and it doesn't change and there's no special rules to using it. The second one has some special rules. But before we go on to the second way to make negative verbs, let's do a quick quiz. So I'm going to write down a few verbs and I want you guys to conjugate these to be negative verbs. So first one is 공부하다, to study. So how do I say to not study? The next one is 놀다, which means to play or to hang out. So how would I say to not play or hang out? And then the third one is 덥다, to be hot, like hot weather. So then how would I say to not be hot? These are the three ones I want you guys to change these into negative verbs and I'll check them. This should be fairly simple, but I'd like to check though before I go on. Yeah, we'll also cover the other way to say negative verbs too, which is much more difficult to use, which is why this one is safe. 공부하지 않아요. Nice, nice. 공부하지 않아요. Martina M, you wrote 놀아지 않아요. However, remember this form. All you do is you take the verb stem and attach 지 않아요. You don't take 놀아요. It's not 놀아요, that's the verb. The verb is simply 놀다. So try that one again. But the other ones you got were okay for Martina. Martina M. 놀지 않아요, 덥지 않아요. The one and only Daniela Dongdong. Try again for the third one. 공부하지 않다, 공부하지 않아요. 공부하지 않다, 놀지 않다, 덥지 않다. Nice. 구연이 짱. 공부하지 않다, 덥지 않아요, 놀지 않아요. 공부하지 않아요. 공부하지 않아요. Okay, I think you guys got it. For the most part, I think you have it. So, I'll do this again with you to get the negative form of these verbs. 공부하다, to study. You remove the 다, so you get the verb stem first. If you're not removing 다, if you're removing something else, stop. You're doing it wrong. You need to get back to the form that has the 다 at the end. So 공부하, now we have 지 않다, which you can conjugate to 않아요 if you want, or whatever you want. 안 왔어요 if you didn't study. If you want to do past tense. But anyway, we're just working with the general negative form first of all. 놀다, again, remove the 다. So someone wrote 놀아지 않, which would be wrong because that would be starting from 놀아요, which is not the dictionary form of the verb. This is not the standard form of the verb. This is already conjugated. So if it's conjugated, you can't remove the yo to make the verb stem. This is not the verb stem. The verb stem is, first you have to go back to the 다 form, then you can remove the 다, and then you can add 지 않다. I actually see that quite a bit. So it's not only one person that's done it. I just wanted to bring it up that it's a common mistake. And then 덥다, to be hot. Again, you remove the 다. 지 않다. So now we have the verb to not be hot. So you can say, oh, the weather is 덥지 않아요. And remember from sound change rules that we did last week, if you were there, whenever the H comes before this empty syllable, you simply don't pronounce it. So you can delete it in your mind. Oh, it's still written there, but you don't need to pronounce it. So you just say 안아요. You don't say 안하요. Just remember that. You don't say 안하요. 안하요. It's just 안아요. So actually it becomes said exactly like this. 덥지 않아요. And 덥지 is also another sound change rule, but we won't go into that. But anyway, so just something to remember that you don't need to say the 안하요. So now we get 덥지 않다, for to not be hot. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to this very first way of making verbs negative. And like I said, if this is your very first time ever seeing negative verbs in Korean, you can stop today's stream right now. You're good to go. That's all you need. And let's move on. So that's one way to do it. There's another way to do it, which is what a lot of you guys have been writing in the chat and what you probably also heard, which is 안. Now, 안 is much more tricky because it's not a simple, you can't make it simply like you could this one. It also doesn't work with every verb. There are specific verbs that you can use it with and every other verb you can't. So, first of all, if you have seen 안 used in Korean with a certain verb, remember that. It's a verb that you can use it with, but that's not every verb. To use this, first of all, the basic way to use this form is you take 안 and you attach it directly before a verb. Not a verb stem, just the whole verb as it is. Conjugated, unconjugated, whatever you want. So if we want to make our verb 가다, to go, negative, well, we have two options. We can say 가지 않다, just like before. So now we have do not go. But we have another option now. We can say 안 가다, to not go. So both of these have the same meaning. I'll talk about some slight differences between them later, but for the most part, these have the exact same meaning and they have the exact same usage as each other. Both of these mean to not go. 가지 않다, to not go. 안 가다, to not go. And they can be used in the exact same way. However, the trick to using this form and why many people mess it up is because this verb has to be specific types of verbs. And I'll show you guys what those types of verbs are. But first, let me give you a little trick. Okay, so the only types of verbs this can be used with are what's called pure Korean verbs. And I'll explain this. But first, let me just check the chat real quick. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Make sure to check Billy's typing game. Oh yes, I do have a typing game. It's free. You can download it for practicing how to type on your keyboard. Check the chat. 안하다. This has no space. No, 안하다 should have a space. 안하다 does have a space. Okay, so the only type of verb that this can be used with, for the most part, like 99.99% of the time, there are a few exceptions, but pretty much every single time, the only verb that an can be used with is a pure Korean verb. So what does pure Korean mean? Isn't every Korean verb a Korean verb, right? It's all Korean. Yes, but in Korean, I've said this before, but over 60% of the Korean language originally comes from Chinese. And these Chinese words are referred to as Sino-Korean. Sino means Chinese or China. So Chinese Korean. And these would be words, for example, one example of that would be the word 결정, a decision, you know, or 관계, a relationship, or this one you might have heard, if you've ever studied any Japanese, you know, the word for promise in Japanese is yakusoku, and the Korean word is 약속. So you might think, oh, wow, it's like the same language. Calm down. Korean and Japanese both borrowed a large portion of their vocabulary, over 60%, from the Chinese language. And this word actually comes straight from Chinese characters. It was only pronounced differently in Korean and in Japanese, which is why so many words will sound the same in Korean and Japanese. The languages are not related. It's just because both languages borrowed a large chunk of vocabulary straight from the Chinese language a long time ago. So these words are known as Sino-Korean words. Oh, April Romero. Nice. April 199. I'll put that up there. April R. Thanks, April. Nice. Appreciate it. I got my first donation today. So pure Korean verbs are ones that are not from Chinese at all. These are ones that were made in Korea, were not imported from Chinese. And there are a lot of these, but it might not be the words that you think. Any verb, and so you might be thinking now then, how can I know if a verb is pure Korean or Sino-Korean? You know, you really can't. There are some tricks to know. There are some tricks that I'll tell you. But in general, the most important thing when using this form, if you really don't want to make a mistake, is only use an if it's a verb that you know can be used with this. If it's a verb you've seen used with an before, in that way, then you can use it. Otherwise, be careful because, okay, we're back. Sorry, yeah, it just cut out. Sorry, guys, we're back. Welcome to Love a Dream. Oh, to Love a Dream. Nice. To Love a Dream. So I hope no one has like a crazy long, crazy long name that I write up here. Thanks. Welcome to the fan club. And check out the, you can use emotes and everything in the chat. Really appreciate that. Welcome. Sino-Korean verb with hada. Yeah, we'll talk about that for Savannah 22. You're getting ahead, but we will talk about that. Okay, so 공부하다, which means to study, is actually Sino-Korean. The word 공부, funnily and strangely enough, is actually originally from Chinese, which means kung fu, which is where the word kung fu mean. And kung fu originally means a study. So like they use it like a study. This is like old Chinese, not modern day. I think modern day they have a for kung fu fighting. But in the old days, this was the word that became kung fu today. And at that time, it was 공부, which means a study. So this word is actually from Chinese, and hada, this hada part is pure Korean. This hada comes from Korean. It's not an imported word. But hada means to do. So this literally means every verb that ends in hada, that's an action verb, literally means to do a noun. So this one, 공부하다, means literally to do study, to do studying. And together it's used as to study. So there's a lot of these words that end in hada that are action verbs. If this is an action verb that ends in hada, and if it's one of those words, like if it has that sort of meaning, like to do something, this means it is Sino-Korean. And you cannot use an before a Sino-Korean verb. So you cannot say 안 공부하다. You cannot say 안 공부하다. You can say something different, which we'll talk about next, but you cannot say 안 공부하다. One more. Let's do another one. 수영, which means to swim. This also comes from Chinese. It comes from 수영, which means swimming. So this literally means to do swimming, or as you would learn it when you're studying Korean, just as to swim. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's lagging. I have a router set to give my phone full internet, like full access to everything. But the YouTube app has some issues. Okay, so it really is just the YouTube app, and it's not my internet. Now I can know, because my internet's really fast, but I was thinking maybe something else is using it. So I gave priority to my phone. So only my phone gets like full access to all the internet right now for the next couple hours. But if it still crashes and the internet's really good right now, it's just YouTube app acting weird. Okay, so 요리하다 means to cook. And 요리 also comes from Chinese, which means cooking. So you can use this by itself too. You can just use 요리, like his 요리 is very tasty, you know? So this is also Sino-Korean, and you cannot say 안 요리하다, to say to not cook. Okay, so again, you can only use it for pure Korean verbs. So then how do you recognize a pure Korean verb? How do you know if it's a pure Korean verb? Well, there's a few tricks. I'm just going to write PK up here. PK verb, pure Korean verb. So how can you recognize if it's a pure Korean verb? Well, there's a few tricks. The first one is, if you see a verb that has only 2 syllables in it, 2 syllables and that's it. 가다, 오다, 먹다, 살다, 알다, 놀다. There's a bunch of these. There are actually a lot of these. If it's 2 syllables, it's a pure Korean verb, and you can use 안 before it. So you can say 가지 않다, to not go, or you can say 안 가다. You can say 오지 않다, to not come, 먹지 않다, or you can say 안 먹다, to not eat. Same with 살다, to live, 안 살다, to not live, 알다, to know. You wouldn't say 안 알다, but we'll talk about that in a moment. 놀다, I'll just remove this for now so you don't worry about that for the time being. You say 놀다, to hang out or play, and 안 놀다, to not hang out or to play. And 덥다, as we learned before, to be hot, you can say 덥지 않다, to not be hot, or you can say 안 덥다, to not be hot, in the exact same way. Carrie Rich, wow, my goodness. Dang. Dabs for that. That's awesome. I'm gonna write you on the board. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Carrie Rich. I gotta erase this up here because it's taking up space. I need my space. That's like almost one of the largest I've ever got. Dang, thank you. Okay. See if they said anything else. Dang. All right, so I need a smaller board. Yeah, I need to have another board that I can just put donations on, but I'll put them up here. I think this is good because they're not in my way up here, and I usually write over on this side. So okay, so if it has 2 syllables, automatically you can know that it is a. You're awesome, Billy. Thanks. I was looking for you to say something. Like usually donators will say something right after. She's not saying anything. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Okay, so 2 syllables, automatically it's pure Korean, so you can know you can use this one. So now you have 2 options. You can use this form, or you can use the other form that we did before with the jianta. Let me just raise this a little bit. Okay, so you have 2 options if you do that. Another way to know, you write this up here. Okay, so this is an plus pure Korean verb. Another way to know, so I'll put this as number 2 because I don't want to write down below here. If there's no hada in the verb, if there is no hada in the verb, then it's pure Korean. So this could be something like 가르치다, to teach, 배우다, to learn. Anything like that, anything that doesn't have hada is going to be a pure Korean verb. And you can say 안 가르치다, 안 배우다. Anything like that is going to be okay too. So you have a lot more options if, let's see here. Yeah, so you have a lot more options if it's using this. Wait a second. Okay, let's check in the chat for a moment. Yes, so you have a lot of options if it's anything that doesn't have hada. So as soon as you see hada, it doesn't mean it's a Sino-Korean. Hada doesn't mean it's Sino-Korean. But if you don't see hada, it means it's automatically pure Korean. So 2 syllables, pure Korean. There's no hada in it, pure Korean. So you can use this. So these are some safe ways to know if it's a pure Korean verb and if you can use this or not. There's a few more tricks though. This one is another really useful another useful trick. I hope you guys can see down here. Let me just erase the examples here. You'll remember that. Okay, 3 is there's no hanja. So this is, if you look in the dictionary, this one you would need a dictionary. So if you open up the dictionary and you search the word and you can't find any Chinese characters, hanja means Chinese characters. So if you open up the dictionary to a word, like for example, 공부하다 or whatever, and you see there are some Chinese characters written next to it, that means it's Sino-Korean. That means it's not pure Korean. But if you open the dictionary and next to the word, there's no sort of hanja, there's no Chinese characters next to it, but you see other words do. So like the dictionary normally would show that, it just doesn't show it for that word. That means it is a pure Korean word, most likely a pure Korean word. There are some, obscure words that they don't know what the hanja was, so it won't be there, but that's not going to be what the words you guys are using. For the most part, if there's no Chinese words, you can know it's pure Korean. It's another useful way to know it. There's another trick. All right, I'll change the numbers. I don't like changing the numbers. I just don't want to write down here too far, so I want you guys to be able to see it. Okay, another trick is hada. If it has hada in it, yeah, let me write that. Okay, separated. Okay. Remember how I said here that if it has 2 syllables, it's automatically pure Korean, okay? The verb hada itself is pure Korean. It has only 2 syllables, hada, hada, to do. Hada by itself is pure Korean, not whatever word is attached before it. So let me explain. This is what confuses people, because I think this is the most important one, because people see verbs like, for example, we'll take 공부하다. I hope you guys can still see down there. Let me just check to see how far I can write. Okay, we're still okay. So people might see 공부하다 used with an. And they'll think, oh, I can use an with 공부하다 because look, it's being used with 공부하다 right here. No. 공부하다 cannot be used with an. What can be used with an is hada. Okay, before I go any further, the first thing I want to say is if it has hada in the verb, and if hada can be separated from that word, the Chinese word that comes in front, you can use an before hada, and before hada only. You cannot say 안 공부하다. But 하다 by itself, to do, right? This word means to do studying, like I said. Any verb like that, any verb where the 하다 means to do, so it means to do something, right? You can use 안 before the 하다 part because 하다 itself is a pure Korean word. So you can say 공부 안 하다, to not, literally to not do, studying. Okay. However, before I let you think that before I teach you that, like, I don't want you to think that this means you can take any verb with 하다 and split it apart and put 안 before the 하다. It does not mean that, and I'll show you why. Okay. 심심하다 is pure Korean. Okay? Pure Korean. 심심하다. So you could just say 안 심심하다. Even though it has 하다 here, this whole thing is pure Korean. This is not 심심하다 separately. This is not to do 심심. This doesn't mean to do 심심. This means 심심하다 literally means to be or to feel bored. So you can say 안 심심하다. I'm not bored at all. I don't feel bored, right? You cannot then say 심심 안 하다 because this 하다 is not separable from this part. You can only separate it with action verbs. I'll just put action verb here. So if it's an action verb, then 하다 in that case will mean to do. So for example, 심심하다, like I said, means to be bored. To be is not an action. You're not doing boredom. You are feeling, you are bored. So you cannot use it for a descriptive verb. But if it's an action verb, anything you're doing, for example, 요리, cooking. 요리하다 means to do cooking. So you can say 요리 안 하다. 수영, for swimming. 수영, swimming. 수영 안 하다 is okay. You could just use the very first form we used, remember, with 지 않다, which is why I said it's so useful, because you can use that for every verb. But if you want to use 안, or you hear other people say 안, you're safe using 안 before 하다, directly before 하다, not anywhere else. So you could not say 안 수영하다. That would sound very awkward to a Korean. Okay, we're almost done with this part. However, like I said, not every verb with 하다 can be separated. 에희망, what's up, 에희망? I'm awake. Oh, you're okay. We had the other moderators were here. They provided the Discord link. It's all good. I was asleep. Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so not every verb with hada can be separated, and there are a few exceptions to this. So, okay, so say you see a verb and you're like, okay, let's take a really common one actually. 사랑하다, right? To love, okay? I just want you to know, like, most of the time, okay, so if you follow these 4 rules, 99.9%, you'll be okay. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, Andy. Hey, Andy. Andy. Andy's one of my Patreon members, actually. Thanks, Andy. We put you up here also. Andy Roberts. I like keeping track because then I can know if the donation's paid for like equipment I bought or stuff. I actually ordered 6 more of these erasers because this one's already getting kind of old. I ordered 6 more a month ago, but they never arrived, so I have to order 6 more. Thanks, Andy. Really appreciate it. Your lessons are useful and answer a lot of questions. Yeah, anytime. Feel free to leave suggestions for the next episode, for the next video. I'll let people vote on it, but I can definitely put your suggestion in as one of the options that can get voted on. Okay, so 사랑하다. Everyone knows this word means to love, right? 사랑해요, 사랑해. You know, I love you. And it's an action verb, right? It's an action verb because 사랑 is love, 하다 is to do. You're doing love. And this can be separated. You could say 사랑을 or just 사랑하다 separated, to do love. However, 사랑 itself is kind of a debated word. Some people say it's Sino-Korean, but there's no Hanja, there's no Chinese characters that would go with it. So it's probably pure Korean, but it doesn't work like a pure Korean verb. It actually works like a Sino-Korean verb. So you can say 사랑을 안 하다, but you cannot say 안 사랑하다, even though this is a pure Korean verb too. It acts as, like, I'm saying it's debated. So the official answer is it's pure Korean. But the way that it works seems to imply that it's Sino-Korean, and it kind of seems like it could be. And Korean actually has a word that is 100% pure Korean for love. If you're curious, that word is tasom. You might know someone with the Korean name tasom. And tasom, let me see if you can see that. Yeah, tasom actually is a pure Korean word it's very old. So they don't use it anymore. And Koreans don't really know this word anymore, most of them. But it means love. This is the original pure Korean word for love. So how sarang became more popular, I don't know. Or where it came from, I don't know. Is it pure Korean or Sino-Korean? I don't know. But it works like a Sino-Korean. So this is an exception, a common exception, that despite 사랑하다 is pure Korean, it can be separated into 사랑을 하다, which is 사랑하다. So if you want to make this a negative, you could use our first form and say 사랑하지 않다, or this second form and say 사랑을 안 하다, with the 안 directly before 하다. So to summarize, I'll go over these really quickly one more time because I think they're important. If you see, there's no hada in it at all. It's pure Korean, so feel free to use an, as long as it's a verb. You're assuming that this is a verb. If it has hada in it, but the hada can be separated. So by separated, I mean you might see one word like cooking or studying with the object marker, or and then hada. If you've ever seen it used like this, 공부를 하다, if you've ever seen that verb used in this way, it means it's a verb that can be separated because it's Sino-Korean. So if it can be separated, and if it's an action verb, that helps you know too, because then you know, oh, it's an action verb, so it really can be separated. Then you can use it with an, but only before hada. Another way to know is if you see the verb has only 2 syllables, so the whole entire verb with ending in ta only has 2 syllables, then you're safe to say it's a pure Korean verb every single time. There are no exceptions to that. The final one is you check the dictionary. So you really want to know, is this pure Korean? Can I use this verb? I've never heard it before. And you see no Chinese characters listed next to it, except for sarang, which I said is kind of debated. Most likely pure Korean, but they don't know. Every single time it's going to be a pure Korean word. So that's the final thing you can do, is you can check the dictionary. And the final thing you can do is you don't know. So it has, it doesn't match these criteria, but you really want to know, can I use it anyway? How can I use it? Can I split it up? The other simple way is don't use this form. Just use the first form we used, 지 않다, and you'll be right 100% of the time. Your Korean will not suffer even 1% if you do not know how to use this form. You can always use the other form. You'll always be okay. There is no benefit to using this form over the other form, except that it's a little shorter. So with that said, I want to give a couple exceptions to this. So I said that it's like pretty much like 99.9%. Well, that 0.1%, there's a few verbs that don't quite follow this, and you can ignore these if you're still a beginner. But there's the verb 통하다, 정하다. There's a few verbs that are 3 syllables. Like basically it's 1 syllable followed by hada. 1 syllable followed by hada. And there's a few of these verbs. There's a very small handful of them. And some of them are very common, like 통하다, 정하다 are very common. For these ones, you will not see 통을 안 하다. You will not see 통 안 하다. You will only see 안 통하다, 안 정하다. You will only see that. So these are some exceptions, but it's really like a small handful. So like I would say is, don't worry about these exceptions. If you don't remember them, just always use 지 않다. So just say 통하지 않다. 정하지 않다. And you'll be okay every single time. The only thing is you might not understand that if you hear someone say 안 통하다. You might not know that's the opposite of 통하다, depending on your Korean abilities. But when you speak, if you can't remember, just use the 지 않다 form for every single one. But there are a few ones, again, they will be one syllable followed by 하다. One syllable followed by 하다. And there's a few of those. There's not a lot. There's only a few of those in Korean. And those ones are exceptions. So that little quick note for the more intermediate Korean learners, because you're probably watching this, you're saying, I already know all that. So at least you get one new thing here. Okay, so I would like you guys to tell me if the following verbs are pure Korean or not. So tell me if these following words are, and I'm erasing this, so hopefully you'll kind of remember some of the basics. Okay. Okay, tell me if these following words are, let me do one more. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we have 4 verbs. Tell me if these 4 verbs, which of them, if each one is pure Korean, you can write PK, or Sino-Korean, you can write SK. So which one, tell me if 외우다, 힘들다, 좋아하다, 생각하다, which ones are pure Korean, which ones are Sino-Korean? And if you can, try to write them in one line. Okay, there's a trick here. There's one trick here. I'm kind of trying to trick you. But I'll talk about it, so don't worry. Okay, I'm tricking a couple of you. I got a couple of you tricked. Some of you got it. Some of you got it all right. A couple of you I've seen have been already tricked. But that's okay, because I put it in here to trick you. Andreas Jacobson, nice. Nice job. Savannah 22, I tricked you. But don't worry, I did it on purpose, because I haven't taught you this. Pika, SK. If I read it really quickly, it's like pika, SK. Pika. Okay, I tricked a few of you. Okay, I'm satisfied now. Okay, so first of all is 외우다. There is no 하다 in this at all. It's pure Korean. Next one, 힘들다. There's no 하다 in this at all. Pure Korean. The next one, 좋아하다. Oh, you see there's 하다. However, this verb 좋아하다 means to like, and it cannot be separated. This actually comes from the descriptive verb 좋다, to be good, becomes 좋아하다, to like something. It cannot be separated into 좋아 and 하다. So you cannot say 좋아 안 하다. This would be totally wrong. It would sound like garbage. So it's only connected. So it has 하다 in it, but it cannot be separated. Even though it's an action verb, which is why this... Okay, we're back. The actual reason is, like I said, this one comes from the Korean verb 좋다, to be good. It's not a separate verb by itself. Oh, that doesn't look like a ta. 좋다, be good. It comes from a separate Korean verb. It cannot be separated though. It is one piece. So there are several verbs like this, 좋아하다, and also 싫어하다, to dislike. And you cannot separate them. So this is pure Korean. So you can say 안 좋아하다, and you can say 좋아하지 않다, but you cannot say 좋아 안 하다. That would be completely wrong. So, but you can use 안 before. And the final one, 생각하다, is 하다 and 생각, which is a Sino-Korean word, and these can be separated. So you cannot say 안 생각하다, but you could say 생각 안 하다. So this one is Sino-Korean. So pika and SK. I like getting my sides cut. I keep a boy cut all the time. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'll do with my hair, but maybe I'll do a vote in the members area. Okay, so again, 좋아하다 is pure Korean. That's just an exception, and it's not quite it's not an irregular. It's just an exception to what I told you because it actually comes from a separate Korean grammar form, and that Korean grammar form can create many verbs that have hada but are pure Korean. So we can go over that a different time. That's more of an intermediate concept, but there's a grammar form in Korean that changes descriptive verbs to become action verbs. And by doing so, they all end in hada, but they are pure Korean. So they are not Sino-Korean, even though they all end in hada, and they are all action verbs. So the simple trick again is if you're not sure, just use 지않다, because you'll be okay 100% of the time. So then what's the difference between, this is really, really quick. So you might think, okay, so now I have a verb, right? Every pure Korean verb can be used with both, right? If it's Sino-Korean, you can only use 지않다. But if it's pure Korean, you can use 지않다, or you can use 안, right? Either one. And I told you, both of them are equally, they both have the exact same meaning. You can use either one. So if it's pure Korean, you have more options. You can say 가다, you can say 안 가다 for negative, or you can say 가지 않다. So then what's the difference? If you have the choice of using both 지않다 or 안, which one should you use? In a giving mood and support deserving creators this week. Looking forward to your next book. Mocha. I'm not sure how to say the name though. Mocha. Thanks, Mocha. Oh, I don't want to write your name in red. That's bad luck. That's really bad in Korean. Oh yeah, never write someone's name using red. I'm writing red for here, but never write a person's name. People's names are only written in red, like on like listings of dead people's names on like tombstones or something like that. So red means like you hope that they die. So don't write it for, it's like bad luck, like breaking a mirror or something, kind of like a superstition. But yeah, so I will not write anyone's name in red. Make sure you don't do that too. Maka. Thanks, Maka. Actually, that's something that Korean students visiting the other countries are really surprised when they are doing like a study abroad and they're in classroom and the teachers will mark people's names with red pen and write their names in red. And the Korean students will be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Same with Japanese and I believe Chinese too, but not North Korean. North Korean, it's fine. But in South Korea, it's not okay. Make sure to write names in red just to get those reactions. Yeah. But yeah, thanks again. We got April, To Love a Dream, Carrie Rich, Andy Roberts, and Mukka. Okay, so then what's the difference? If you can use both and you have a choice, what's the difference? Not very much. But if we have to pick a difference, this 지않다 form is slightly more commonly used in formal situations. So if you wanted to say like, oh no, boss, I didn't do it, or boss, I won't do that, or something, if you want to say a negative verb and you're in a formal situation, most of the time, 지않다 will be preferred. The only difference. So if you wanted to say, boss, I won't do that, or I didn't do that, 제가 하지 않았습니다. They'll use this 지않다 form more than they would use 제가 안 했습니다, more than they would use this 안 form. That's the only difference. So if you want to speak more politely, this one will be more commonly used, but that's not to say that this form is polite sounding or that this form is only used in polite Korean, or to say that this one is only used in casual Korean. It's not anything like that. It's just this one's slightly more used in formal than the other. So if you have a choice of both and you're speaking casually with a friend, yeah, you go ahead and use 안 if you want. But you're not going to be wrong if you use 지않다. It's not going to sound formal. If you are in a formal situation, I would recommend using this one. But if you use 안, you will not be rude and you won't be wrong. So that's it. Just a little bit of a different, it sounds a little bit different. Okay, now let's get to the fun stuff. So all I've done today is given you just an introduction to negative verbs. Oh, and these outlines, they all go up on Patreon after the live streams. So this will be up on Patreon tonight for everyone for Patreon. Oh, Kenny Lee. Oh, Carrie Lee, sorry. Carrie Lee. It says Australian $5. What does Australian $5 mean? Oh, and Mocha also was euros. So I should write that. I don't know. I think it's about similar though. Euros. I think that's euros, or is that francs? I actually don't know. I think it's euros though. And then Carrie Lee. Awesome, thanks. I don't know what how Australian dollars are different though. I don't know how to convert them. Oh, I see. You just wrote hi from Australia. But how can you hang down in Australia and do the toilets go backward when you flush them? I'm just kidding. I want to use anihada instead. No. They're both used interchangeably. The sweetest fortune. Yes, you can use either of them interchangeably. And like I said, you don't have to worry too much. They're both okay. So yeah, thanks guys, both of you. Okay, so then let's do another one. Wait a minute. I didn't put the, yeah, we have to do that too. I didn't put the, I think I'm missing one paper when I printed. Anyway, so there's something else in Korean that we need to talk about, and that is negative verbs. Now, the whole thing that we're doing today is we're doing negative verbs today, but there is a type of Korean verb that is already negative. For example, going back to the very first example, we have 가다, or you can say 안 가다 or 가지 않다, right? Well, what if I told you there was a verb that meant to not go? Okay. In this case, there's not, but bear with me. We're gonna do a few. So let me write this down so I do them all. And then there's another really common one. Okay. Anyway, we'll start with those. So for the first one, 알다, to know. This means to know. Mile High City. Thank you from Mile High City. Kim, where is Mile High City? Kylie Kim, awesome, thank you. It's just gonna turn into a donation stream, and this whole board's gonna get filled with donations. Thank you, I really appreciate it. But I don't know where Mile High City is. Now we get into the part of Korean I dislike the most. Yes, I'll try to make this simple though. So, in Korean there are also verbs that are already negative. That means you do not have to change them into negative verbs because they are already negative. One second. Okay. Sorry. I think on my thing that I printed, it's missing part of what I printed, so I want to make sure I don't miss any verbs. These donations, I'm not even using my glare. Okay, so there is a verb, this means to know, but there is a separate verb in Korean that means to not know. To not know. Normally you would say this, you would see this, you say 알다. You say, oh, it's two syllables, pure Korean. So I can do 알지 않다, right? Which you can, okay? 100% you're okay with 지않다, which is why it's so good to use. But you cannot say 안 알다, okay? You cannot say 안 알다. You might think, why? It's pure Korean. Yes, it is pure Korean. It has two syllables. It doesn't have hada. You know, everything that applies. Doesn't matter. This an, like I said before, it can only be used with specific verbs. And I have some guidelines for telling you how to do it, but there are still some exceptions that you cannot do. It cannot become 안 알다. Although you could say 알지 않다, to not know. Instead, there is a separate verb in Korean which means to not know by itself. And that is 모르다. You might have heard this before. It's fairly common. 모르다. 모르다 means literally to not know. And it is the exact opposite of 알다. Although it looks nothing like 알다. 알다 is two syllables. This one's three. But this one's also pure Korean. So let me just check here. Oh, Denver, Colorado. Okay, I was thinking it would be like somewhere around like Utah or Colorado because they're, I know their altitudes, they're really high up there. Is it a mile up? And is it really a mile high though? That would be like 5,000 feet or something. Oh, I think it would be, yeah. I think it would be about that high. Okay, so 모르다 means to not know. So you cannot say 안 알다. If a verb has its own negative form, okay, you cannot use 안 with it. You can still use 지않다. You can still use 지않다, which is why 지않다 is so important and why it's just use it every single time unless you know otherwise. But if you still want to say negative, 모르다 is used. So if you want to say like, oh, I know that person, you can say 저는 I know 철수. I'm just going to say 철수. I know 철수. 저는 철수를 알아요. I know him. But you want to say I don't know him. 몰라요. And the conjugation for this is just for the yo form. I'm not going to cover conjugation today because that would be a whole nother 2-hour lesson. So 저는 철수를 몰라요. And let me just check really quick. I'm going to check the lesson to make sure I'm not missing any other verbs before I go on. Okay, let's check this. So I'm just looking at my computer over here. I'm not missing any of these verbs. I see what happened. I see what happened. So on my lesson that I printed, for some reason, it just didn't supposed to be a whole section right here. And it just didn't print the whole thing. I think I have to change my ink. Because I was like, I'm sure it was only 2 pages. And I printed everything. So that just means that, okay, that just means my printer didn't print it. So, okay. I was like, I know I printed this. So what happened to it? Okay. So yeah, 모르다 means to not know. And there are several of these negative verbs in Korean. Rip 철수. Yes. Okay, so if you don't know, you say 모르다. So the first one to know is 모르다. Another one is for 있다, to exist. Like you say, 저는 5불, $5 있어요. I have $5. 저는 5불 있어요. I have $5. If you want to say, I don't have $5, you could get away with saying 있지 않아요. 있지 않다, not have. And that's okay. But what if you want to emphasize, I do not have. I do not have. So the opposite of 있다, to exist, is 없다. So if you want to say, I don't have $5, you can say 5불 없어요. Like someone says, hey, can you loan me $5? You say, oh, I'm sorry, but 저는 5불 없어요. I do not have $5. And notice that it looks nothing like 있다. So these negative verbs, let me write them up here. So we have 모르다 first. Then we have 없다. And the next one we're going to learn is 아니다, which is a little bit different how it works. So 있다 becomes 없다 if you want to say you don't have it. You cannot say this. 100%, you cannot use this. 안 있다. This is incorrect. You cannot say 안 있다. 100% wrong. So don't do this. You could say 있지 않다, like I said, but preferably, if a verb has its own negative version, use the negative version instead. It'll sound better. Although you won't be wrong to say 있지 않다, like 5불 있지 않아요. Literally, it just kind of means like, oh well, I don't have $5. Whereas 없어요 means there is no $5. $5 does not exist. And it's a little bit more direct. So I'd say always use these negative verbs as long as you're aware of them. And the last one is the most common, 이다, which means to be. When you say like 입니다 or 이에요 or 예요 at the end of your sentence, like saying, oh, I am, 저는 미국 사람이에요. Like I am American. Or 저는 32살. 저는 34살이에요. I am 34. I'm 32 in American age. then 이에요, like, 이에요 at the end of your sentence. Or 예요 if it's after a vowel. So after a vowel or consonant is 이에요. So this one, if you want to say I am not, you could say 이지 않아요. You could, but it's more preferable to say is not. Like I am not this. It is not this. And that becomes 아니다. Which is actually kind of funny if you think about it. 아니다. Notice the spelling of 아니다 doesn't look like 이다 at all. But if you think about the sound, 아니다, 아니다. Wait a minute. 아니다. It's actually originally this. Does this kind of make sense? 이다. Not is 아니다, which became 아니다. So in this case, you actually can just stick on before, but know that the spelling will also change. So that's what it originally is. 아니다 is originally 이다, to not be. So that's just kind of a fun one. I think it's pretty cute. But there's a difference when you use 아니다. It's not as simple as just switching the verb to 아니다. So let's take a look at an example. We have, let's take this thing. 저는, I'm going to say I am 빌리. 저는 빌리예요, which is just said as 빌리예요, but written as 예요 because it's a vowel. 빌리예요. 저는 빌리예요. I am, remember this verb means to be. So I am, he is, she is, you are. I am Billy. Well, now you want to say I am not Billy. It's not as easy as just switching this to 아니에요. You can't just say 저는 빌리 아니에요. They also add in the subject marker. I'm just going to rewrite this a little bit more small. 저는 빌리, and then you add in the subject marker right after here. So whatever it is that you are not, so I am not, well, what are you not? It has to be marked with the subject marker, which is 이 or 가, remember? So this is 빌리가 아니에요. 저는 빌리가 아니에요. I am not Billy. If you want to say it like this. This subject marker is only when using 아니다. You do not use this when using 이다. So this is an exception. This is how it changes a little bit, that you have to use 아니다 with the subject marker and not just by itself. If you said just 저는 빌리 아니에요, they'll understand you perfectly, but it'll sound a little bit like something's missing. And if you're trying to speak polite Korean, like not slang or casual Korean, it'll sound a little bit too casual. So make sure you add in the subject marker, 이 or 가, after whatever it is that you are not, to mark it. Okay, let me just check the chat for a minute to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, no, I wrote my name in red. Uh-oh. Gotta change that. Change that quick. Okay, there you go. Now I'm safe. It's a mistake. Are you oh, someone's talking to Andreas. I'm not sure what Andreas is referring to. 없다 is not an action verb, but 있다 is an action verb. I could talk about that later if you'd like. That would be more of an intermediate topic. But 있다 actually is, it is and it isn't an action verb because there's actually two versions of 있다. One of them works as a descriptive verb, and the other one works as an action verb. Officially, in Naver Dictionary, it lists both of them as, well, as a descriptive verb and as an action verb, but its usage can change. And I'd say most of the time it's just a descriptive verb, but it does act as an action verb at some times too. And it is used with the subject marker also. So, okay, then the other one, 없다. Again, someone was just asking about something. I just want to clarify a little bit. If you're ever using 있다 to exist or 없다 to not exist, whatever it is that exists, you can mark it with any marker you want, except you cannot use the object marker. You cannot use this. You cannot use the object marker with 있다 or 없다. So you cannot say, like you want to say, I have a pen. You cannot say 펜을 있어요 or 펜을 없어요. that would be 100% wrong and sound very awkward. You'd have to say any other object, any other marker for that whatever thing you have. So you can mark it with the subject marker. You can say 펜이 있어요. You can use the topic marker if you really want. 펜은 있어요. Like, well, as for a pen, I have a pen. You know, you can say 펜도 also. Like, I have a pen too. 펜도 있어요 or 없어요. Like, I don't even have a pen. I don't have a pen either. Like that. But you cannot use the object marker with 있다 and 없다. So just make sure you remember that. 무쿠. Hey, 무쿠, you already gave me. Oh, 참. Pool tool. 무쿠. Tilt it a bit to the left. Hold on. Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. That is that coming from here? Let me check. Is that still? Yeah, I see. I'll fix it. Let me fix that. Okay, now the glare is gone. And thank you again for the donation, Muku. Let's put that there. So now it's 10. Thank you, Muku. I thought it was Moka, though, reading it in English, but I see it makes more sense as Muku. He won't see it. I'm dead. Donation and comment. Yeah, you got me to fix the board. I apologize for that. Before I started today, I actually checked for glare, but I think I repositioned the light while checking and changed the board position, so I didn't check a second time. But thank you. Woo, I was stressed. Yeah, apologies for that. Okay, so that's something I wanted to go over. So there are other pure Korean negative verbs, but this is all we're going to talk about for right now. These are the most common ones. 모르다, 없다, and 아니다. Am I missing any? Are there any other negative verbs that you can think about that I'm missing here? If so, let me know and I'll quickly cover them. But I did want to talk about one that's not. So I've heard some people say that, okay, so to like is 좋아하다. Now, 좋아하다, you might think the negative form is 싫어하다, right? To dislike. Not really, though. Not really. You can still say 안 좋아하다, because this is pure Korean. You can still say 안 좋아하다, and you can also say 좋아하지 않다, and you can say 안 싫어하다 or 안 싫어하지 않다. So it's not quite, these are not quite opposites. They're more like different words. 좋아하다 means to like, and 싫어하다 doesn't mean to not like. It means to actively dislike, which is not the exact same thing as liking something. So like, you don't need to think that 싫어하다 is the opposite. It's the negative version of 좋아하다. It's not. It's just a different verb. So use it like a completely different verb. Don't use it like, oh, I have to add on, so I have to switch it to 싫어하다. No, you don't. They work differently to each other. You can say simply 안 좋아해요. Oh, I don't like it. But if you say 싫어해요, that doesn't mean I don't like it. That means I actively dislike it. The opposite of liking, I dislike it. If that makes sense. Like, I hate it, kind of in that way. And you wouldn't think of like being the same meaning as hate or anything like that. Like, they're not quite the opposite as far as like negative verbs are concerned. So you don't have to memorize them together. 연필 있어요. Yes, it does make sense. That's perfectly fine. 연필 있어요. So yes, after today's lesson, you'll probably be thinking, oh, there's so many ways I can make negative verbs. And you're right. That's why I said don't worry about it. Just use the 지않다 form. You can come back and review these. I think that some of my lessons I tell you, like, don't worry about it. Like, you can review it slowly on your own time. I would say this one, actually actively review these concepts and make sure you know them. But in the meantime, while you're reviewing them, just use 지않다. Just use the very first form I gave you. Like 100% of the time, you'll be okay. Even if you don't use these, you'll still be okay and grammatically correct. And at least you won't be awkward if you always use 지않다. So which is why it's such a good form. And I'm glad that, I'm glad they invented that ending. I mean, I'm just going to say I'm glad it exists, that it's so easy to use. But if you're using the an form, so for not, you have to switch to these. If you're ever making negative versions of 알다, to know, 있다, to exist, or 이다, to be. Hopefully I'm not forgetting any other verbs. 있어요. 사과 있어요. Yes, you can say that I have a pen, I have an apple, just like this. 들려요? I'm sick. Oh, it's too bad. Oro, feel better. Take care. Apple pen. Apple pen. I have a pen. I have an apple. Oh, apple pen. Yeah, the PPP reference. Okay, so now we've covered the basics. But we're not done because there's something else I want to talk about, and that is we have about 30 minutes to cover it. Actually, it's 3 concepts, but the first one we'll do is, actually, this one first. Okay, this is how you say can't. So we learned how to say you don't do something, but what if you want to say that you're incapable of doing something? You simply can't. You cannot do something. You take the verb stem, and just like 지않다, right, in the exact same conjugation way as 지않다, you make it 지 못하다. 못하다. So this would be 지 못해요. So if you wanted to say to go for 가다, like let's say you wanted to say, oh, I'm not going to go, or I don't study, or I don't go, then you can just do 안 가다, or 가지 않다, right? Or what if you want to say you can't go, you cannot go, you're unable to go? 못하다. Easy, you're done. Exactly like 지않다. Now you can say not only don't, but with every single verb too. Well, as long as it makes sense logically, like you wouldn't say I cannot be a American. It sounds kind of weird. As long as logically it makes sense, you can use it. So anything you cannot do. So that means this has to be, since this is something you cannot do, this has to be an action verb. So this is only for action verbs, but if it's an action verb, so it's something you want to say I can't do it, then 지 못하다, and you're done, and conjugate it. You don't have to do anything else. So before I go on, I want to ask you guys to make some sentences. So how would you say, I can't speak Korean? I can't speak Korean. I want you guys to try to write this. The word for Korean is 한국어. 한국어. And to speak Korean, the word for to speak is 말하다. Or you can just say, actually, yeah, let's just use 말하다 to make it simple. 말하다. There's other ways to say it, but we'll just use like this for right now. So I cannot speak Korean. How would you say this? 안 가요, 못 가요. Yes, they're different, and we'll talk about that. The difference between 못, yeah, we'll talk about that. That's next, don't worry. 한국말 못해요. Yes, we'll talk about that next. Don't get ahead. We will talk about how to use 못 by itself. And we will talk about the differences, BBAKA. 한국어 말 못해요. 한국어. I just want you guys to use this form first. Some of you are already using another way to say it, which is perfectly fine too. But other people might see that and then they could get confused. They're like, whoa, what is that? I've seen that too. Like, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry. 문장을 만들지 못해요. Andres, I can't make a sentence. 한국어 말하지 못해요. Okay, Tessa, nice. Okay, so that's pretty much all you have to do. Just take the verbs. Okay, we're back. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're back. Okay, so that's all you have to do is just take the verb stem, an action verb stem, and attach 지 못하다 and conjugate it. Very easy. But just like we had 지 않다 and 안, there's one more option. You can also just take 못 plus a pure Korean verb. exactly in the same way as we used an. Exactly in the same way with the exact same rules, right? It has to be a pure Korean verb. You cannot separate something like 공부하다. You can't make it 못 공부하다, just like you couldn't make it 안 공부하다. Both of those wouldn't make any sense. But you could do 공부 안 하다, I don't study, or 공부 못 하다. Just like that. So it works the exact same way as an. So now that you've already learned those rules for how to use an, how to say you don't do something, all you do is you attach it to 못. So it's the exact same way. Just like 지 못하다 is used in the exact same way as 지 않다, you can use it with any action verb you want. This too, you can use this with any verb that's pure Korean, just like before, or well, with those strange exceptions. Like some verbs have hada, but it's actually not, but it's actually not, it's not Sino-Korean, or all those weird rules that we just learned. So 못 is the exact same usage as an. So if you wanted to say, for example, teach, 가르치다 means to teach. This is pure Korean. We could say, I don't teach by saying 안 가르치다, like to not teach, or 가르치지 않다, right? To not teach. Well, now we can also say I can't teach by saying by using 가르치지 못하다. I cannot teach. Or, because we know this is pure Korean, 가르치다 again, we can just say 못 가르치다, means I can't teach. Like, 한국어 못 가르쳐요. 못 가르쳐요. I cannot teach Korean, right? Or 한국어 가르치지 못해요. Just like that. Or 한국어 안 가르쳐요. I'm not going to teach Korean. I don't. 한국어 가르치지 않아요. I don't teach Korean. So we have several options here. Whether you want to say you don't do something or you simply cannot do something. And using 못 or 지 못하다 is showing that you cannot actually even do something at all. Like you physically cannot do something. You're incapable of doing something. So then, if we can say 못 to mean can't, well, what about this? This is not something that you might not be thinking about this, but this is something that I definitely thought about when I was learning Korean. So if we can say, F meant frozen. It's just kind of a meme at this point. Or F to pay respects to the dead stream whenever it goes out. Okay, so then you might be thinking, what's the difference between 할 수 없다, can't do something, and say you can't do something with 지 못하다 or 못, right? Because this also means cannot do something. So you could say 가르, this form, let me write the form for you. It's lir after a consonant, after a vowel, or after a consonant, and then 수 없다, and then you conjugate it. So if you want to say teach, it would be 가르치다. Get the verb stem. It ends in a vowel, so we add lir here, and then 수 없다. And then we can conjugate 없다 however we want. So we can say 없어요 or whatever. So we have 가르칠 수 없어요, which also means I cannot teach. I'm not going to be giving lots of examples of this form today because I'd assume that if you're wondering the differences between these, then you've already learned it. And if you haven't yet learned this form, don't worry about what I'm going to explain right now. So this is for more intermediates people. So you might be thinking, what's the difference between 못 and this 수 없다 form? Because both of them are can't. Well, the difference is 수 없다 compared with 못 is slightly more formal. Slightly more formal than both 못 and 지 못하다. And again, 지 못하다 is slightly more formal than 못, just like 지 않다 was slightly more used in formal situations than just using 안. So I'll say that again. This 수 없다 form is slightly more formal, slightly more used in formal situations than just 못 or 지 못하다, than both of those. So that's the main difference between them. But they both mean cannot. Another thing is, 못 is only for cannot. You can only use this form if you want to say you cannot. If you want to say that you can do something, you have to use 수 있다. the regular form of this, can. I can go. So 가르칠 수 있어요. There is no can version of this 못. This 못 is only for negative. It's only for cannot. So that's the other difference, is that this one is less versatile. Whereas the 있다, 수 있다, and 수 없다 form, you can use it for both can and can't. But it's also slightly more formal. So if you're in more of a formal situation, I definitely recommend the 수 있다 or 수 없다 forms and using 못 or 지못하다 for anything that's not super formal. The one and only Daniel Adongdong. The one and only Daniel Adongdong. Thanks, man. Thank you, Billy. Your lessons are really helpful. Yeah, you're welcome. Daniel. Oops. Dong Dong. You have like a super long name. I'm just going to write Daniel Adongdong. I'm not going to write the one and only Daniel Adongdong because I'm going to run out of space here. Thanks, though. Okay, so that was just a quick explanation for people who are more intermediate level and might be wondering the difference. But we're not done with today's lesson. And there's something else that's also intermediate. So I know I get a lot of requests. People request me to do like, oh, Billy, your topics are only beginner. You should do some more intermediate stuff. Well, I listen to you guys too. And I want to do some intermediate stuff too for today. So quick though, before I go into that. Okay, red is gone. Quick though, before I go into that, you might be wondering, what is the difference between an and 못? Again, an is doesn't or don't, and 못 is can't. So if you say 한국어 안 해요, means I do not speak Korean. Maybe I can, but I will not. I just don't. I'm really good at Korean, but I don't speak Korean around you. I don't want to speak Korean here. You'll sound really pretentious if you use an with something that you are trying to say you can't. If you want to say you don't speak Korean, like, oh, do you speak English? No, I don't speak English. You need to use can't. 못. 영어 못해요. 영어 할 수 없어요. You want to say cannot. You do not want to say 안 해요 because that means you are choosing to not do it. So an, this don't form, or same with 지않다 and an, both show that you are doing it intentionally. Right? And 못 means you simply cannot. You do not have the ability. So if someone says, hey, can you help me? Can you help me, please? And you say, 안 도와줘요. That means I'm not helping you. I'm not going to help you. Ha ha ha, just burn, die, I'm not helping you. That's what it means. You need to say, 못 도와줘요. 못 도와줘요. It's like messing my mouth up. 못 도와줘요. I can't help you. So I'm not going to help you because I can't. So be careful about using an and 못, because one of them means that you're doing it intentionally and the other one means you simply can't. But the most common place that I see people make that mistake is when they say they speak or do not speak a language. So if you're saying, I've heard it really commonly that people say, 저는 저는 한국어 안 해요. I don't speak Korean, is what they say. Or 한국어 잘, I don't speak Korean well. 잘 안 해요. I don't speak Korean well. But what you're really saying is, I do not want to speak Korean. I'm not going to speak Korean today. I don't feel like it. And it's kind of rude because they'll think like, well, actually, they'll probably understand, oh, he really doesn't speak Korean. He doesn't even know that an means doesn't and not can't. So just be careful about that. Okay, let me just check the chat for a minute. Yeah, 못 is like you actually cannot. Billy's like 철학자. I was just very curious when I was learning Korean. So I wanted to, this is stuff that I thought about a lot. Okay, so the next thing is for intermediate speakers. So if you're still a beginner, this part might not be so useful to you, but I do want to cover sometimes content more for intermediate people. And we have about 30 minutes left. So there are some adverbs. There are some adverbs in Korean that are only used with negative verbs. Only used with negative verbs. The first one I want to teach you. This one is actually not a negative adverb. This is, so I'm telling you about negative adverbs. And now this is not a negative adverb, first of all. 도. So you might have heard this before, like, 저도, me too. 사과, you might want to say 저는 사과도 좋아해요. 저는 사과도, sorry, that doesn't look like 는. 좋아해요. I like, as for me, apples too, I like. So I like apples as well. As well as other fruits, or as well as other food. I also like apples too. So this is what you can normally say. But the thing is, 도 changes meaning when it's used with a negative. And it means either or neither when it's used with negative verbs. So when it's used with regular verbs, it just means also or any or to, But when it's used with a negative verb, it changes meaning to become either. So you might say something like 저도 안 좋아해요. 저도 안 좋아해요. This means literally, I also don't like it. But if you're translating this more naturally, you'd probably want to say, I don't like it either. So notice that 도 kind of seems to change meaning when it's used with negative verbs. So you might see 도 used in negative sentences as well, but it doesn't have to be. It's also used in regular sentences. But what we will talk about are some adverbs that are only used with negative forms. So you only use these with negative verbs, and there's a few of them. The first one is 절대로. 절대로. These are all adverbs, so they all get used before a verb. Before a verb. Before a verb. Remember that. Adverbs in Korean are always used before the verb. Directly before the verb or right before the verb is used. Like it might be like a verb stem, like go to the store quickly. Then in Korean you'd say quickly, store to go, or just store to quickly go. Like it'll be right close to the verb, but always before the verb. So 절대로 means never. Say, I never do that, or will never, depending on the tense, or never did if it's in the past tense. So you might, or I would say never at all. 저는 절대로 안 해요. So you might say something like 저는 공부를. So now we have the verb 공부하다 separated into two pieces. We have 공부를 안 하다, to not study, but in between we're using this adverb, which goes directly before the verb, 안 하다. So 저는 공부를 절대로 안 해요. I never study, ever. I never ever study. 저는 공부를 절대로 안 해요. Now, 절대로, like I said, can only be used with negative verbs. So you cannot say 절대로 해요. That makes zero sense. It has to be used with a negative verb. And it means I never study at all. So that's the first one. And 절대로 I think is really useful because someone might say, hey, did you, do you watch Korean drama? And you really don't like Korean drama. So maybe you really hate it. 절대로 안 봐요. 절대로 안 봐요. I never watch it. 절대로 안 봐요. One more note about something that I taught earlier when I said 싫어하다 is not really a negative. 싫어하다 is really a positive. You can't say 절대로 싫어해요. You cannot say 절대로 싫어해요. You have to say it because, like I said, this doesn't really act like a negative version of 좋아하다. Because it means literally just I dislike something, not saying I don't like something. So you could say 절대로 안 좋아하다 or 절대로 좋아하지 않다 or even 절대로 안 싫어하다, like I never hate it or I never dislike it. But you can't just say 절대로 싫어하다. It makes no sense because 싫어하다 is to dislike. It's not a negative verb. But you could say 절대로 없어요. I don't have it at all, ever. Or 절대로 몰라요, because these are actually negative verbs. 몰라요, 모르다, to not know. Or 아니에요, from 아니다. 절대로 아니다. It never is a certain way. So just keep that in mind. These are only used with negative verbs. The second one we're going to use is 별로. This is super common. And a bunch of you actually asked me to do this one specifically when I said I was going to do negative verbs. 별로 means not really. I would recommend writing these down because some of their meanings in English seem very similar, even though their meanings are actually different. They seem similar. So this one means not really, not really. So how would you, so before I give you an example sentence, you guys try to write an example sentence in chat, something really short, really simple. Try to write an example sentence without looking at other people's stuff using 별로. Because like I told you, it means not really. And it has to be used with a negative verb. So write a sentence that you think could use 별로. Oh, while you're doing that, I'll also let you know that 별로 can also be used with So I said this one can only be used with negative adverbs, but if you use this by itself with ida, to be, this also is a type of expression you can use. So you might ask someone, oh, how was the movie? And you can say 별로예요. So ida becomes, you can conjugate ida however you want. In this case, 에요. Or you can even use past tense, 였어요. This is all from ida. So you can do 별로 with ida. So this is not a negative verb, but it can be used here. It has a slightly different meaning though. When you use it with regular verb, ida, only ida, you can't use it normally. It means so-so. And on a bad side of so-so. Like, not so good. Not really. It's kind of like saying, meh. Not that great. Yeah, like, and on the negative side, not like, so-so, like, it's not bad, but no, it's like, it's bad. It's not terrible, but it's not that good. So, 별로예요 is an expression that means, not that good. So-so, it's meh. Like, how did you like that movie? 별로예요. 별로였어요. It was just bleh. Like, you can skip it. So it's a really common expression, but this is only with ida, like I said. So you normally will only use this in negative sentences. So let me check what you guys wrote. 별로 안 어려워. Nice, TD epic. 별로 안 매워요. It's not that spicy. 하늘, nice, 하늘. 공원에서 별로 안 really. This does not mean not often. This does not mean not often. It doesn't mean I don't really go to the park, because if you say I don't really go to the park, that means you don't go to the park that much, which doesn't mean that often. It doesn't mean that often. So it's only that, not really that amount. So this is only for an amount of something. So you can't say, oh, I don't really go to the park. You'd have to say 별로 자주, not that, not really often. 자주 means often. If you wanted to use this with like, oh, I don't really do that very often. So like if you wanted to say, I don't watch it that often, you'd have to say 별로 자주 or 별로 잘. Another one you can say is 잘, which means well or also means often. 잘. Oh, 52 Bunker. Hey, 52 Bunker. I've seen your name before pop up again. Pop up a few times before. Nice to see it again. 52 Bunker. Is that, oh, that's, I think that one's the Frank's one. It's like, I have to learn like all the different currencies. So I saw like Australian pop up, euros, and now Francs. I think that one's Francs. Yeah, thanks for the donation. 한국 드라마 보는 거 싫어해요. 별로 한국 드라마 보는 거 싫어해요. That doesn't make sense. Because like I said, you have to use it with a negative verb, but 싫어하다 is not a negative verb. That was for Yuki. Yeah, 전혀 will also do that one too. 저는 드라마 별로 안 봐요. 별로 잘 안 봐요. 별로 자주 안 봐요. 별로 안 궁금해요. Okay, that's nice, Suni. That's nice, perfect. 김치를 별로, no, you have to say 별로 안 좋아해요 for CDrangs. Remember, it has to be a negative verb. The only exception is when you're using it with ida, which I said it can mean not that good. Otherwise, it has to be a negative verb. So it can't be 좋아하다. It has to be 안 좋아하다 or 좋아하지 않다, something like that. 별로 한국 드라마 보는 거 안 좋아해요. Yeah, nice. 한국 드라마 보는 거 별로 안 좋아해요. So remember, for Yuki Hyun, that's better. It's better this time. And if you said 별로 at the very beginning of the sentence, the Koreans will understand what you meant to say, but it's wrong. You have to use the adverb directly before the verb. So it would be 별로 안 좋아해요. Exactly like right before the verb. 음식이 별로, that person, you wrote 음식이 별로 좋아요. Nope, it has to be negative verbs. So only negative verbs can be used with this. You have to say 별로 안 좋아요. France isn't a currency anymore. I know they changed it to euros or something, but I thought the euro looks like an E, but that one looks like an F. So I'm not sure what is which. Like I know they got rid of the francs, like they use euros, but then what's the F? Francs are still used in Switzerland? Okay, that's interesting. 김치 별로 안 좋아해요. 김치를 별로 안 좋아해요. Okay, you wrote 눈, you wrote eyes don't like kimchi that much. 저는 김치를 별로 안 좋아해요 is fine. Okay, yeah, I think you guys mostly got it. So, just keep here. So if you want to say something like you can say 김치를 별로 안 좋아해요. So I don't like kimchi. Not really. So like I don't really like kimchi. Saying I don't really like kimchi. So it has to be used. All of these have to be used with a negative verb. Just like 절대로, never, has to be used with a negative verb. The same thing with 별로, has to be used with a negative verb. And if you want to say you don't really do something like that often, like in English we might just say, I don't really go to the movies. But what we really mean is, I don't really go to the movies often. So you have to say 별로 자주, not really often. Or 별로 잘, not really often. Or 별로 많이, or whatever other adverb you want to use, but you have to use 별로 first. Okay, the next one is 그다지, or which is also shortened to 그닥. 그닥, though, this is more like I don't want to say slang, but it's definitely more casual. 그다지 is another adverb that's only used with negative, and it means not so. Like not so great, not so funny, not so hot, not so weird. Now, this is similar to 별로, which means not really. However, if you're saying not so, the difference between, okay, this is actually just an English difference. 별로, I said not really. Not really means not very, right? Not very. Whereas not so means not how I was told, like that, in that way, not in that way. So these can be used mostly interchangeably. They just have slightly different meanings. So if you're going to describe something, this one is only for descriptive verbs, for only describing things. 그다지, and then you use a descriptive verb, negative descriptive verb. So you could say, oh, it's not so funny. It's not so hot. It's not so, he's not so nice as I thought. In that way, he's not so nice. I expected it. He's not so, like how the person said he would be so. Like I thought he would be so in that way, but he's not in that way. So he's not so, or like the movie is not so good. The candy is not so sweet, like that. And you can also say the candy is not really sweet. If you just want to say 별로, like, it's not that sweet. 별로 안 달아요. It's not sweet. 달다 means to be sweet. So 별로 안 달아요. It's not very sweet. It's not really sweet. So it's similar meaning. Another difference between 그다지 and 별로 is that 별로 also shows some amount of disappointment. It can show a little bit of disappointment. So if you use 별로 with something, you're saying, I'm a bit disappointed, but it's not really that much. It doesn't have to, but it's often used to show some sort of disappointment. Though, like I said, it doesn't have to be. Just if we need to contrast them, 별로 is often used that way to show disappointment, but the meaning of 별로 itself does not have the meaning of disappointment in it That's just how it's often used. Like, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that fun. It wasn't that cool. That's kind of disappointing situations, although the meaning of 별로 itself does not have the feeling of disappointment inside of it. 그다지 is just like, no, it's not that. It's not so much. It's not that way. So similar, 그다지. Try to make a sentence using 그다지 or 그닥. Whenever I'm speaking Korean, I'll often use 그닥, but just know it's a little more casual. So let me check the chat. It's the pound. It's the pound. I knew there's got to be something else. Okay, I was like, it's not the franc. Nobody uses francs, I thought, but well, maybe Switzerland does, but okay, pound. That makes sense then. Hello, I'm here to catch the end of the stream. Nice. Yeah, we're only going to go 10 more minutes. We just have one more negative adverb. It's out of sync. Like the audio. How far out of sync is it? It's like an old Bruce Lee movie. I will kill you. You will never see it coming. Is that good? Okay, I apologize for it being out of sync. At the very least, is the video quality okay? Is the video quality okay? That's really what I care about most, is the video quality. Okay. So make a sentence using 그다지 or 그닥. 걔는 키가 그닥 안 커. Nice. Good sentence. And again, 그다지 is only for describing, so only for descriptive verbs. Whereas, 별로 can be for something that you do also. Video quality is great. Okay, awesome. Then I think I fixed the video quality problem. It's very out of sync. Oh no. That's kind of funny that you said I was out of sync though. I'll see what else I can do. We don't like you. Where are you from? We don't take kindly to strangers. Okay, so next one. But before I go to the next one, I want you guys again to make a sentence using 그다지 because I think it's really useful too. Though more important than 그다지, I would say is 별로. 별로 is really common. 그다지 is 그다지 흔하지 않아요. Is 그다지 useful? It's less useful. I'll say 그다지. 연기가 그닥 좋지 않아요. Thanks. Billy, your acting is not so good. Not as good as you think. That's kind of good. 별로 is really common, which is why I'd say 그다지 is good to be aware of, but especially know 절대로. 절대로 is used all the time, as well as 별로. 별로 is maybe used the most out of any of them. I'll do the next one. I'd like, if you guys feel free to make example sentences on your own and I'll check them. 이 책이 그다지 시대랑스. It has to be a negative sentence. I mean, negative descriptive verb. So try that one again. 영화는 그다지 안 좋아요. Yeah, the movie's not so great. Dab to Billy's acting. When I was a little kid, I used to play, pretend I was in Mortal Kombat, the video game. I think that game came out when I was pretty young. Or Street Fighter. It was one or the other. Maybe it was Mortal Kombat, the first one. Anyway, and I'd pretend fighting with my siblings, We didn't really hit each other, but kind of pretend and try to do out of sync talking and stuff. That was really funny. I used to like doing that. Okay, then the last one is 그다지 요리 그다지 좋지 않아요. Eileen Z. Remember, it's only for negative descriptive verbs. So try that one again with a negative descriptive verb. But 좋다, 좋아요 is not a negative. That's positive. 날씨가 그다지 안 좋아요. Okay, nice. 나의 목소리가 그다지 안 좋아요. Okay, my voice isn't that great. Let's see. 전혀 한국어를 전혀? Remember that Yuki. Remember that this 전혀, any adverb comes directly before the verb. So try it again. 전혀 means not at all. Not at all. Just zero. Not one bit. Not at all. Zero. So, do you like it? 네, 전혀 안 좋아해요. I don't like it at all. Can you speak Korean? 아니요, 전혀. Actually, you wouldn't say at all if you could speak it. But let's just, for example, 전혀 못해요. 하지 못해요. You know, I can't at all. Or even 전혀 안 해요. Like, I don't at all. Like, do you sing well? No, I can't sing well at all. 전혀 잘 부르지 못해요. I cannot sing well at all. 전혀 잘 부르지 못해요. 전혀. So it goes directly before the verb. And the verb here is, well, 부르다, to sing. But we already have another adverb, which is sing well. So you're saying not at all singing, not at all well singing. So adverbs always go directly before the verb. So don't put 전혀 at the beginning of a sentence. It has to go directly before the verb. Okay. 책 그다지 안 좋아요. 안 좋아요. CDRungs. CDRungs, I would recommend reviewing, conjugating the yo form. Maybe I can do a live stream on that in the future. But other than that, you got the concept correctly. I would just say, remember, do a review of how to conjugate the yo form. I think that's a gap in your learning that you can fill it pretty easily. And that would help a lot. Okay, so 전혀 means not at all. So try to make a sentence. Oh, you guys are already doing that. 불어를 전혀 못해요. I can't speak French at all. Although retro, they don't use the word 불어 so much anymore. It's good to know though. They usually just say 프랑스어, 프랑스어, so France language. 불어 is kind of an older word for French, but Koreans all know it. They just don't use it so much anymore. 저는 라면 좋아해요. Okay, I mean, it makes sense. It's not what I'm asking here. Try to change that sentence to say, I don't like ramen at all. Go ahead and try it. That's for you, for SHIXUTINCI. 저녁, 전혀? 저녁? 전혀? 전혀? Nope. 저녁 is pronounced as just 저녁. And 전혀, due to sound change rules, remember here you have a consonant before the 히읗, so the 히읗 goes away, is just 전혀. There is no 기역 at the end. There is no sound at the end. It's just 저녁 and 전혀. So it's different. It's not said the same. And a Korean will not think they sound the same either. They sound very differently. 전혀 못해요. Nice. 전혀 잘 치지 못해요. 피아노를 전혀 잘 치지 못해요. Yes, that's nice. A Jed she. Say, I cannot play the piano well at all. 요리를 전혀 못해요. I cannot cook at all. 저는 운동을 전혀 안 좋아해요. Nice, nice. I do not like exercise at all. I don't like it at all. Not even a little bit. 전혀 안 피곤해요. Nice, nice. Shadow night. I'm not even tired a little bit. I wanted that person to try to make their sentence again. 피자를 전혀 못 먹어요. Oh, really? So but perfect sentence. That means I cannot, not even a little bit. I can't even eat pizza at all. So I can't eat pizza at all. So maybe you have some food allergy, or maybe you just think pizza is absolutely disgusting. For whatever reason, you're unable to eat pizza. That's a really good sentence. 전혀 기다리지 않아요. I do not wait at all. Okay, grammatically, the sentence makes perfect sense. 불고기를 전혀 못 먹어요. Ah, really? So I cannot have 불고기 at all. I can't eat it at all. 숙제를 전혀 안 만들어요. I'm not making homework at all, or you're not making homework at all. Okay, that's a perfect sentence. I think you guys have got this one the best. Either that, or after hearing the explanation 4 times, it now makes sense to you. So again, I'm going to write these again so you can do a quick review. And then we'll finish, and I got to leave. So 절대로 is never, 절대로, or at all. And don't need to say at all. I'll just do it never to make it simple. There's sometimes when it might translate, it seem better as at all. But anyway, just never. 별로. Most commonly used one. Not really. Not very. 그다지, or I said 그닥, is not so. Like not that way, or not that way. Not in that way. Sorry, not that. If I just write not that way, you're going to think it's like for giving directions. 그다지, not that way. Go this way. And then there's also 전혀, which is not at all. Of these, the most commonly used one is 별로. After that, maybe 절대로 or 전혀 are both pretty common. 그다지 would be the least commonly used, but still good to know. Yep, 2 hours almost up. Yep. Okay, now we are done. I actually had a different lesson. I had another thing I wanted to talk about, but we don't have time to do it, so it's okay. But it was 밖에, for how to use negative verbs with 밖에 to say like you only have something, and then talk about 밖에 versus 만, like to say only. But that would take another like 20 minutes to do, at least 15 minutes, so we won't have time for today. But I will put it in. It's still really good to know, and it's still related to negative verbs, and it's something that everyone messes up. I messed this up a lot too when I was first learning Korean. So that will be on the outline. And like I said, the outlines, they all go online to the Patreon page. So even the $1 Patreon supporters will have access to these tonight. And I'll put this one up tonight as soon as we're done with the stream. Thank you guys for coming. That was a lot of fun. And feel free to join the Discord chat. So if you could please post another link to the Discord. I hang out there a lot. I won't be there tonight because like I said, I have the dinner to go to tonight at my mom's house. But normally I'm in the chat like every day. You can ask questions directly to me or to other Korean learners. There's hundreds of people there. It's pretty active, and every week it just gets more and more active. So yes, Rowan Z's posted the link. So go ahead and check out and as well as Ahimang also posted a link. Check out the Discord chat. It's completely free. It's open 24/7. Anyone can join. And yeah, it's pretty fun. So yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Again, next Sunday, we will have a live stream. But like I said, it's my son's 3rd birthday. So the live stream will be from 12 o'clock until 2. Because I have to prepare for it afterwards. So I'll do the live stream first for 2 hours, but it'll start 2 hours earlier than today. So 2 hours earlier than normal. So thanks for coming, guys. I will see you again next Sunday, and I'll put the vote for this next Sunday's live stream. I'll put that up on Tuesday on my channel. See you later. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. 다음에 또 봐. Happy early birthday to your son. Thank you. Let's turn this off.